Good morning, everyone. We've had just the most ridiculous technical difficulties this morning, but I'm Sarah here with Patrick,
Hi, everybody.
and we're here with Toshiko Hasegawa, Port of Seattle Commissioner and past Commission President. Toshiko, thank you for putting up with all the craziness that we've just endured.
I'm just glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
We're thrilled to have you. And this is like not even close to the most of what you've had going on lately, right? You're like up to 5,000 things.
You know what? It's a busy season, but we thrive in chaos, so this is fine.
Yeah, speaking of chaos, Toshiko, how's the trade war going?
Oh, just the second one in about a 6-year time span, global economic uncertainty, and, global tariffs that are causing mayhem and compromising our international relationships. But the trade war is ongoing as well, and just one iteration of some of the challenges that we're facing right now at the port.
How would you rank it? Is it number one or is it sort of all equal? Are you just like that person spinning plates right now?
I think at this time last year, it was a little bit more tumultuous. And, I would say that we had over 100 different media inquiries interested in what was going on with China, our greatest trade partner. I think since then, we've had a lot of other things happen that impacts our international trade and commerce, not least of which has been the ongoing war in Iran and a ceasefire, all which lends towards the theme of uncertainty, right? It is impossible for people to make a business plan, and not least of which for those folks right here at home in the most trade dependent state in the country.
Remember last year, Liberation Day. And I remember soon after that, there was some trending things going on online that the Port of Seattle was dead, and you came out very strong. I remember some of your social media posts that came out, make basically reassuring people that the Port of Seattle is indeed not dead. So where is it at now? 1 year later, we're just over 1 year post Liberation Day. Is it improving or staying the same, or what do you see from your vantage point?
The funny part about that rumor that was circulating was as folks were front loading their cargo imports, we're actually seeing a surge in cargo. But month by month, if you compare totals for the months by year by year, we have declined. Right, there is the definite impact of poorly crafted and poorly executed trade policy. And we continue to fight tooth and nail for market share for trade and commerce because we are a discretionary port. So, what is a discretionary port? It means that folks who want to import their goods could just as easily go through Vancouver to the north, or they could go to the south via LA Long Beach, where there's automation, and in the north where they don't have that harbor maintenance tax. And we do see that a lot of partners are looking to be able to do what's in the best interest of their bottom line. And so the thing that we can do to compete with that is we offer best in class service, that we're going to have quick turnarounds for the trucks, that we're going to have flexible gate hours, that we have real wonderful railroad incentives for folks and rewards if they can get the volumes that we want to be able to see. And we also have to go internationally to Korea, to Japan, to Europe to convince people that this is the gateway where they want to do business. And that's something that we have to do business development on an ongoing basis.
You know, well, there's two things that are sort of immediately slamming around in my head. Number one is the success of the cruise ship terminal. I mean, so there's a bright spot on the waterfront. I was looking at record numbers coming, record amounts of passengers. Can you tell us how that's unfolded? And I'd love to know who's responsible for that because That person definitely deserves a warm hug.
So, the cruise portfolio is managed solely by the Port of Seattle. What most people don't know is that we're married to the Port of Tacoma. We formed a joint venture called the Northwest Seaport Alliance, and together we compete globally for market share for container cargo. So that way we're not competing against each other, right? And that we're on the 10th year of this arrangement, and we are net positive for market share. And just like any marriage, it's not all rainbows and sunshine, and it takes a little bit of work and doubling down on your commitments. And in the end, it's worth it. And
Mm.
we're incredibly proud of what we've done, but we're still separate. And at the Port of Seattle, one of the things that we manage on our own is cruise. And what we found is it's one of the revenue lines that is growing year by year. The demand for cruise is only growing, and we are incredibly proud to build the terminal infrastructure that allows for cruise ships themselves to be able to reduce their own greenhouse gas emissions footprint by way of electrification. Right? It's called shore power, and they can plug in so that they're not just emitting off of the docks while they're there. It's reducing the noise, it's reducing the carbon emissions output that some of our neighbors get pretty frustrated about, but we do see the economic benefit from it as well. We see increased foot traffic through our neighborhoods. We've got new transportation systems and the light rail that can bring people further away from the Seattle center and into the neighborhoods, um, doing that daily spend. And all of this is really exciting activation ahead of FIFA World Cup, where we're going to show people this is what a world class city on the sea looks like and feels like. Come back sometime and get your experience, and do sustainable and responsible tourism. The other real special thing about cruise is that it's been a blueprint for how we can really meaningfully activate our port industries for tribal benefit. So since I took office, we have signed MOUs with 3 different tribes, and including the Muckleshoot and the Suquamish, who want to see their fish on these cruise ships, right? They
Mm.
want to see their goods being marketed. And when people are getting off of those cruise ships, we're saying this is an indigenous place that has history and culture that has been here long before we arrived. And here's what it looks like to be able to meaningfully engage with our cultures here at home. The other exciting thing about cruise is how, as it's a leader for sustainability in maritime, we are starting to identify strategies that work. You may or may not be familiar with the Green Cruise Corridor that we have set up in partnership with the private sector and intergovernmentally with Canada, and then also with our partners and tribes over in Alaska, to be able to pilot sustainable and alternative fuels that are going to make a difference for climate change, right? Be able to turn the knob for these global industries. And when that works, we can use it as a blueprint for other sectors of maritime. And so I'm super excited that last year, Commissioner Cho and I went down with Commissioner McCarthy and NWSA CEO John Wolf to Busan, and we signed a quad port agreement to pilot a green corridor for container cargo ships, first of its kind, and just like really, really exciting opportunities to trailblaze, if you would, for what could work to be able to move the needle in sustainability for maritime. And this is all as we're thinking about what we're doing right here at home to pioneer those alternative fuels. You know that I'm a former Inslee appointee. He did a lot of work standing up Washington as a clean fuel hub. We've got the hydrogen hub. We've got sustainable aviation fuels, right? We've got everything going on at the Tri Cities with nuclear as a viable alternative fuel source that is cleaner and even renewable. And that's all in addition to shore power. And so, what does it look like for the Port of Seattle and NWSA to stand up a supply chain and the port infrastructure, not just to use those alternative fuels, but to export them out to the broader global market for utilization? Right now, we're thinking about a brand new built in export base from Eastern Washington, in addition to our beloved agriculture community, that can not just, support the clean fuel and sustainability economy, but like really meaningfully create jobs intergenerationally that will last for our communities right here at home. And the other interesting statistic that I'll leave you with is we learned this: 1 in 3 jobs in Washington state touches our supply chain. Whether you are a producer or a manufacturer, or whether you're a trucker or work in a warehouse, or you're on our docks or on our ships, this is a trade dependent economy contributing significant sums to our regional GDP. It is so inspiring to plan not just towards the end of an elected official's term or even for the next 10 years. We are thinking generationally about how we are building systems that are going to sustain this economy for our state and our communities in perpetuity into the future. It's really special.
Wow, that is really special. It reminds me of something I heard you talk about that I'd love to hear more about and maybe have you describe for us, but it sounds like this vision is something you might be calling the Teal New Deal. Is
Well,
that something you coined?
so the Teal New Deal is just the mixture of this green energy economy that is percolating in Washington state and understanding the role we have as a port authority in making sure that that is blending with maritime. So that place where the clean economy and maritime meet together is the Teal New Deal, where we have a vision for activating our industrial lands, and the MIC for all of that clean energy manufacturing, warehousing, export that infrastructure to support the clean energy economy, right? Because the Trump administration is not friendly. Sustainability has been eliminated, environmental justice has been eliminated. It's not getting funds right now. But Sarah and Patrick, if you go out to Eastern Washington, these projects are like at 40% build right now. They're coming. Like it's there, and globally, the industry is alive and well. We are missing sips out of that Slurpee and we're hungry for it, right? So we have to keep planning that way because it just is the direction that this economy is going. And it means a diversity of kinds of jobs because we have to physically build this infrastructure. It's going to require collaboration with a local municipality, in this case, the city of Seattle, to make sure that we are building a shared vision and work plan towards maximizing those prospects. I went to Kobe, Japan last year for the IAPH International Ports Conference, right?
Mm.
In Kobe, as a port, and the city of Kobe have a 50-year joint strategic plan. They literally have built the infrastructure for a conveyor belt that will get soil from the other side of the mountains underground, convey that soil to fill in their port and expand their port lands, as usable space for terminals, for whatever, for what have you. And then they've built their port liner train to be able to get people to and from their jobs. It's brilliant, but it's a coordinated effort, and they have a long-term vision towards that. So I'm really grateful that we have Mayor Wilson, who is a collaboratively minded person, who I think understands the value of a port, will give us audience with her on a regular cadence, and will give us like her thoughts and ideas with the Office of Economic Development of what it can look like to be able to seize this unique once in a generation opportunity.
It's
Wow.
great to hear that those meetings are already happening. Like, it feels like it wasn't that long since kind of the new everybody elected came in, but it has been a while, and it's always good to hear that exciting things are happening.
I was
and,
really honored that she
Yeah.
tapped me to serve on her economic development and workers' rights transition team, right? Because I think that's something she in earnest wants to stick the landing on. And we're in a position at a port where we get to help advise and guide. And truly, that's what the port has been asking for years, is we just want to be thought partnership. We don't want to be thought partners. We want to have input on the city's economic development plan because we are the engine. We create jobs, we expand industries, we transform them to be cleaner and greener. And we do that to like support and buoy our beloved blue economy. When you think of Seattle, Like, you think of our waterfront, you think of our maritime industries, and it is cornerstone to not just our economy but our regional identity, right? And I'm so glad that this gets to be on display for the world stage with FIFA coming up, so long as the White House occupant doesn't botch our plans. But we're just we have so much to be proud of and so much to work towards. Let's run towards that together.
I love
So on
that.
that note, aside from your commission role and work, you are running for King County's council?
I am.
Yes. So, and you kind of expressed how you're excited to hit on things that, are different than your work at the port. Can you just kind of give us an overview of like what's going on and the hopes and dreams and goals there?
Well, you see, the Port of Seattle is a special purpose government, and it has a fairly narrow scope of economic development in an environmentally sustainable and equitable way. And I have loved that work for years. I'm on my fifth year now as a commissioner. King County is a general purpose government. I actually worked there for years, and big part of my background is in the criminal legal system. I have got my master's and my bachelor's in criminal justice. I staffed a council member of the Law and Justice Committee and then was hired by All Nine to reboot the Office of Law Enforcement Oversight. And it's this huge piece of my expertise and my professional background that goes largely dormant at the Port of Seattle. And we have real serious issues in my home district of where we see these disparities deepen. The AMI has gone up, but affordability the inflation has outpaced it. The average median income is right there with this cost of childcare. People are making decisions out of economic hardship, right? You have 80% of the county budget going towards a reactive legal system and only 20% going towards proactive measures that can get better outcomes and connect people towards being pro social, contributing members of society. And everyone here understands the difference that a good paying job can make in your ability to be like a functional, thriving, not just family, but community, right? It's critical to our society. And I think that the experiences that I have, not just in having, being a criminal legal expert, but also as a port commissioner and workforce development and project management, I think all of that comes together to lend itself towards the highest calling of this moment for that office, which is the King County Council, District 2, to be able to answer to the need for housing projects or for childcare centers, for grocery stores, for connecting people, not just stabilizing them with their experiencing homelessness or crisis or poverty, but helping them break through towards those opportunities that are going to be transformative for them. I just have big hopes for what government can do for everyday people. And I have deep connections that I think are going to ground me and root me in my ability to navigate what meaningful solutions look like. So I'm proud to volunteer myself for consideration, right? I'm asking for the opportunity to meet people and understand their experiences, identify what the roadblocks and the challenges have been, and then like guide us towards what that affirmative vision and those potential solutions could be. And it's so gratifying. It is so gratifying because there's so much doom and gloom right now. Like there's a myriad of challenges, but there are so many opportunities. And we do have a mayor who wants to meet this moment. We do have an executive who wants to be this moment. I want to be a council member and is the strongest implementation partner for them to work interjurisdictionally, including with the port, to help us do that. Um, and I find it very exciting.
Yeah, wait, well, obviously we had to do some internet stalking for this, learn about you have like a just a huge background in all kinds of things. So it's cool, of course, to see like a woman up there doing all those things and I don't know, making waves, I suppose, as we would call it.
Thank you. I love that. I love me a maritime pun.
One of my favorite questions to ask, especially, yeah, with all of this experience you have, is because we often hope, that someone who may be interested in our industry is listening. A job that happens on our waterfront or in Washington, like related to, our port or things like that, that people don't often think of.
What's an example of a maritime related job that some people don't often think of?
Yes.
Oh wow. Well, here's what people don't think of is that any job you want to do can happen on the water. Any job in
Mhm.
the world. Do you want to be a veterinarian? You can do it on the water. Do you want to be a microbiologist? You can do it on the water. Do you want to be an engineer? Do you, or a police officer? Like, there's any job that you can think of. It can happen in the context of maritime. Whether you're a cook, even a mixologist, right?
Literally.
Like there's a role and an opportunity for everyone, but a lot of people have aversions to the water, and jobs in the middle of the sea have not always been safe or accessible to everyone. So we don't have to just think about what we're doing to create jobs. We're thinking about what we have to do to support people, attracting them to those positions, and then retaining them for them, right? The workforce development is complex, and there's multiple barriers to attracting people to this field. And that's where I feel like it's been super gratifying as a commissioner to bring my perspective as a South Seattle Beacon Hill girl who spent her life looking at the waterfront, but never even contemplating a job in the waterfront, right?
Mhm.
And understanding what it looks like to proactively connect people with that and then systematize it. And it's required resources, and it's required communications and outreach. And it's required working in partnership with community based organizations who have that trusted relationship to do that engagement and have that support. And it's required a lot of partnerships with industry folks, right? Who are saying, we want to do internship programs, we want to do paid positions. We would love to find ways to be able to convert this into a permanent placement, and working with them to do that because, and I know a lot of folks don't like this term, so I asked for forgiveness in advance, but that silver tsunami, the retirement
Mhm.
wave of folks who are exiting the workforce without a new set of talent to balance the attrition rate, and really working intentionally to make sure that we have the future pipeline of bodies needed to sustain this, not just like this existing but this growing sector. And so, you know, by way of numbers, this region is going to grow by another million people by 2035. Hey, like we have a lot of demand for goods and for labor, and we have a role to play to connecting people to being engaged in those very systems that are going to support our future way of life.
Wow. I
Sorry.
number one, no, I love your energy. I
Uh,
do. Like, whenever I've seen you speak, it's just very engaging. It's very real. It makes me wonder where you came from. You said you're a Beacon Hill girl,
yeah.
and just a little bit of your backstory for us.
So I am actually currently coming to you from the family home on Beacon Hill. So interestingly, this is a historically redline community, which means that it was one of the only places my ancestors were allowed to live when they first
Mm.
arrived for opportunity. And then my great grandfather was a generation limited English speaking father of four. And his wife died in childbirth with their youngest. So he was a single father of four, working tooth and nail to be able to support his family. And everything he earned was taken from him when his bank account was frozen and his assets were seized. And He and his family were forcibly removed and put behind barbed wire camps during World War II. And of the 120,000 people of Japanese ancestry who were incarcerated, not for what they had done, but because of who they were, the majority of them were children, including my two grandparents, my grandfather and my grandmother, who didn't know each other. They were kids when they went in. They were students at Broadway High School, which we know today is Seattle Central Community College. Then when they got out, they met, they married, and on that basis, they were able to afford to buy a home. They bought this home in Beacon Hill. They raised my dad in this home. My dad was a trucker. He went on to be secretary treasurer of Teamsters Local 174, the largest truckers union on the West Coast, and was able, on that salary, able to support my sister and I. And now I'm the mom, and I have my 5-year-old and my 2-year-old. And not only do I live in the same house, but my kids go to the same school where their grandpa once went to school. Except I pay $54,000 a year for them to go there. And it is not a private school. This is my friendly neighborhood child care center. And that's what inflation looks like. My family has endured not just forced removal, but gentrification and now the affordability, which literally all of us feel. Like that is a very real economic impact that is not unique to anyone. And I just I just know how much pride and identity I have in where I come from. And all I want is for the next generation and for anyone really to be able to live in the place that they call home, to give back to the communities that they feel give to them. Economics are a cornerstone to so much. I told you about my criminal legal background. Your socioeconomic status is one of the biggest indicators of your engagement in the legal system or in homelessness or mental health issues. Having economic stability is transformative for people. And I was raised to know that economic empowerment leads to social justice outcomes. That's part of what being raised in the labor movement has done for me. And also, coming from that perspective, compounded by my family history, I know that the only reason I'm here as like the first Asian woman elected in the history of the port to the commission is because somebody advocated for civil rights. Like somebody bled for that. And that fight is ongoing. And the older I get, the more I appreciate every fight is ongoing. We are literally carrying a baton and hoping that the next generation can take it forward, but it's not linear. And that's the hard truth that I think all of us are confronting right now because my mom's generation truly believed that it was linear. I think boomers had like this like romantic experience generationally of like what they would consider to be forward progress. And that is not the reality. And we have such serious hardship and threats on our democracy, on civil rights, on our voting rights, that it's just going to require ongoing advocacy. And so, you know, we reflect on what happened to my grandparents in World War II as a failure of political leadership. And so I just consider it to be my role to be the political leadership that I wish they had when they were children. And I'm doing that for my children. This is my chance. You know, I'm the one with the energy. I'm the one with the privilege and the authority, and I don't take it for granted. And so if the voters gave me another 4 years to be a port commissioner, then by God, I will do everything in my power to be a voice for goodness and justice and to do the right thing, not the convenient thing. And if the voters will give me 4 years as a King County Council member, I will put everything that I have into doing the best I can to meet the urgent needs of this moment. But I don't take it for granted. And I don't think anyone should take it for granted because all of us have that role to play. The difference between this generation and the last generation is like, I think that in the civil rights movement, organizing looked like heralding heroes. There were individuals that we recognized and we celebrated. But organizing these days is quite decentralized. It's ordinary people coming together and taking turns holding the mic, speaking truth to power, dying. And it's happening in front of us. And so I see my role as an elected official to be political voice and to give power and to the will of the people. And it's not mine to take credit for at all. It's mine to do everything that I can to pull levers to do the right thing. And that's just always been sort of my guiding light. It's just a matter of
Toshiko, you're so I don't know that I want to ask you anything else, to be quite honest with you. Not that I could talk to you for a long time. We are at our hour, but I just want to I that to me that is so goddamn American. Like that is so American to me. It's
I'm
just like
so proud to
it
be an
just
American. I
it
am.
just hits so hard. So
The
I love that.
the dream and the principles are so worth fighting for. You know, and I will fight for it. And I see so many people every day taking to the streets proudly, as is their right to fight for it because it's worth it. Um, and it's not without tremendous pain, fear, and sacrifice. And that deserves to be honored. And that's part of the intergenerational legacy that we inherit that we have to pass forward. And I take a lot of pride bringing my daughter and my son and arriving as a family to these like amazing mass movements and protests and demonstrations. It's just such an important and powerful thing. And it can be fatiguing. I understand some people like feel that, but for me, they're important because they're energizing. And there's a reflection that you see in front of you because you are that for somebody else. You showed up and we're not alone. And I think that what's happening on like a high level, we are really starting to feel that now in really personal ways. We started this interview by asking about a trade war, right? But those are everyday people who now have to pay way too much money to get their culturally relevant good that has to be imported, right? Um, and anything that you want to buy, there is a markup, and people are feeling it. The price of gas, you know, and so I think it's just a matter of doing honor by the truth of what people's experiences are and standing in solidarity. We have the fundamentals. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. We have to know that we're building something right now too. When we look back to this moment, we won't just say we survived it. We'll say, but what did we build? Right? And that's where the opportunity is.
Shigo, how do people get in contact with you? How can they find you and connect with you?
Um, I am very discoverable. Whether it's
I know. It was a loaded question.
channels, official. If you want to talk about the airport, if you want to talk about the seaport, if you want to talk about anything official, go online to the Port of Seattle Commission page and you can find my email there. And I would love to connect. I'd love to speak to your group. If you want to talk about how we fight for our rights and electoral politics and like local issues, you can reach out to me directly. And then if you just want to follow along, then I would say social media is probably the best way to go. I'm on both TikTok and on Instagram. Again, very discoverable. It's just a joy. I'm a people person. I love talking with people. I love meeting new people. I got to meet literally thousands of people in the last few months, and it gives to me. So we're here for a good time, not for a long time, as a wise man once said. But yeah, so let's just keep the good times rolling.
That's amazing. Well, we're gonna have to get you actually here and do just that because we like doing that too. Hanging out with people and there's, like Patrick said, so much more we could discuss, but everything you said is just like uplifting and
I
really
appreciate you guys.
connecting
No,
today. So
the free press needs a lot of love. You guys are persevering despite, significant funding challenges. I would love to see at the county level some sort of a press voucher program, because people are experiencing media deserts. We're seeing independent media close, not expand, and it is a serious problem. And I just have so much respect for what you do. When you educate people, they are empowered with knowledge to make better decisions and to better interact with what's going on around them. And so all kudos to you. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for sharing your platform with me today.
Thank you so much.
You.
Thank you for
Yeah,
saying that.
thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Well, we're just gonna keep rambling if we keep going. We're just gonna have to do this again. Just thank you so much for coming, and we hope to see you. I mean, we will see you around soon and again, and we hope everyone listening gets to see you soon. And yeah, we're gonna sign off, and that's it from us today. Thank you so much, everyone online, for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you all again bright and early tomorrow morning.
Bye.